Christmas Day 2020. Most of Shanghai is pretty quiet. It's middle of lockdowns. It's holiday season. So most of the commercial buildings, the spaces, they're completely shut down. Doors are locked, lights are off, except one single building in the middle of the financial district in Shanghai, the headquarters for a massive gaming company called Yuzu. Every single floor of this building, every single office, the lights are on. And if you were to get binoculars and look through the floors, you would see people, office workers, just scrambling from room to room, holding papers, holding their phone. They look distressed. They're scrambling to get it together because if they don't, their stock is going to plummet to the ground and billions of dollars are going to be lost. But what is there to say, right? Their founder and CEO was killed. But don't worry, guys. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to publish a new game. He might have been murdered by someone inside the company, but don't worry. Don't panic. We've got everything under control. But absolutely nothing is under control. The founder died without a will. That means his 3 underage children are going to automatically inherit majority shares of the company. But they're underage. So then, does that mean that his ex-wife, the mother of the 3 children, is going to take over? She's never even been in the business before. And as the chaos just keeps going, an influencer shows up at the office with a small baby in her arms, and she's like, hey, this is the dead CEO's baby, and I think I deserve a piece of Yuzu. The stock prices keep plummeting and they're tanking because in China, there is a saying, a country cannot be without a king for a day, and a company cannot be without a head for a day. 11 years before Lin's murder and the panic of Yuzu's share prices, there was this tiny old little bookstore right next to the train station. And a woman named Song thought, yeah, okay, I might as well pop in and see if I can find anything interesting for my long train ride. She walks in, and the first thing that catches her eye is this illustrated magazine called Sci-Fi World. It's a collection of all these random sci-fi stories. I mean, imagine a little magazine with 10 chapters from 10 different sci-fi novels, and they've illustrated it, so you're going to be very engaged. It's just one chapter a month. So the next month you buy the same magazine and you get the next chapter to all 10 sci-fi series. It's fun. It's low commitment. I mean, if Song hates a story, she's not stuck with it for the only source of entertainment for the rest of the train ride. She can just skip to the next story. Song grabs her bag. She grabs her new little magazine, hops onto the train, finds a seat, and she starts reading. Now, you know those stories that are so good, you forget where you even are? You don't even feel like you're on the train until somebody bumps into your arm and they're just like walking past the aisle. And you have this moment of like, oh my God, yeah, oh, I'm on the train. It's probably as close to teleporting as humans can get right now. Song's body is on the train, but she is deep. She is in the thick of the 3-body problem universe. What do you mean all the top scientists are dying? This is the premise of the 3-body problem. When the first world-renowned scientist self-exits, the scientific community, they go into mourning, they're grieving. But then another scientist dies, and then another scientist and another scientist in rapid succession back to back. At this point, the United States Air Force, NATO, CIA, the UN, the United Nations, they all start taking notice. It's a moment of pause of, okay, just numbers-wise, in this quick time frame, that doesn't even make sense. Their deaths need to be connected somehow because what are the odds of this? Maybe they discovered something that is so life-shattering that they can't proceed, or perhaps maybe there's a company that sells scientific tools like testing tubes and they're all been poisoned with hazardous material. They realize that the exact opposite has happened. The science that the scientists already know no longer makes sense. It no longer works. Imagine you wake up one day and everyone is telling you 2 + 2 does not equal 4 anymore. We don't know how, but it just doesn't. We don't even know how it used to be 4, but it's no longer 4. We don't know what it is. We don't know what 2 + 2 is anymore. One of the scientists even left behind a note. All the evidence points to a single conclusion. Physics has never existed and will never exist. There wasn't even a signature on it. A brilliant mind just gone after writing those weird, ominous words. Like, what do you mean? Physics never existed. Yes, it does. And somehow, all of these scientists' deaths, all the roads, they lead to a woman named Ye Wenji. Wenji is a brilliant Chinese astrophysicist, and she takes after her dad. Well, she did before he was murdered in front of her face. Wenji's dad was a physics professor at the top university in China, Tsinghua, which was not something that was appreciated during the Cultural Revolution. So the book does kind of take some inspiration from history. And maybe he could have continued his research discreetly in private, but his own wife and one of his own daughters, Wenji's sister, betrayed him, turned him into the authorities, and reported him for teaching materials in his class that went against the rule of the country. He was murdered in front of his family as punishment, and also as a warning to everybody else. And for not betraying her father, like her own mother and sister did, Wenji had to watch her father get murdered. She was labeled as a traitor and thrown into a prison. And she's going through this very vulnerable moment. She has an overwhelming sense of betrayal from her own mother and sister, her country, and her dad. And the only one that she might have been able to go to for comfort, the only person that she could have perhaps turned to, was a professor who also served as like a mother-like figure. But when she goes to her office, she finds out she has also been killed. And it's just back to back. Wenji is going through it. I mean, the worst things imaginable just happened like a normal Thursday for Wenji. And then in prison, Wenji is forced to denounce her father as a crazy man with conspiracies and not a brilliant physics scientist, but she refuses, which results in freezing cold water being dumped on her and her almost freezing to death and dying. And so from there, from prison, Wenji is recruited to work at this very secret military base located in the mountains. The only thing there is this giant satellite at the very tip top of the mountain, a giant radar dish. And this is very interesting because she is imprisoned for her knowledge, but they also want to utilize it and use it for their purposes. The military sector that she is, to a degree, forced to work for, their purpose is top secret. It is to search for extraterrestrial life. It's to look for aliens. Wenji, being the smartest person there, she discovers the best way to send messages into the universe, like hello, for other forms of life to hear and try to communicate with, is to amplify the message by using the sun. Think of it this way. They're throwing out messages into the universe, but nobody's responding because it's not going far enough. They're still staying in their solar system, so they need to make it go further. And they use the sun almost like a magnifying glass, almost as a messenger. She keeps sending message after message to the sun, and finally, 8 years later, Wenji gets a message back. She starts freaking out, but she doesn't tell anyone else on the base or even her superiors that somebody responded, that they just received a message. Instead, she silently opens it herself, and the message is nothing like what she expected for the past 8 years. I mean, what do you expect from aliens to say? For 8 years, you just say, hello? The message reads 3 lines. Do not answer, do not answer, do not answer. Wenji is holding her breath. She's waiting. She doesn't know what that means. And then another message pops up. This world has received your message. I am a pacifist in this world. It's the luck of your civilization that I am the first to receive your message. But I am warning you, do not answer, do not answer, do not answer. There are tens of millions of stars in your direction. As long as you do not answer, this world will not be able to ascertain the source of your transmission. But if you do answer, the source will be located right away. Your planet will be invaded and your world will be conquered. Do not answer, do not answer, do not answer. Wenji doesn't know it yet, but this is a message from the San Ti, which directly translates to 3 bodies. They are aliens that no longer have a stable planet to reside on, and now they want to take over Earth. The green message is flashing on her screen, and Wenji is strangely excited. She's shocked. She's scared. I mean, for 8 years, she's been sending message after message to the sun, and she had, I don't know, maybe the world's first confirmation right here on her screen that the universe is not empty, that they're not alone in this galaxy, which means whoever is sending this message to her right now is, if her calculations are correct, 400 light years away. Even if they travel at top speed to Earth, they will arrive 400 years later. Wenji hesitates. What does that mean? Like, what is she going to do with this information? But she has this realization that humanity will never save itself from itself. All humanity does is justify their actions and focus on their own pain. When Wenji saw her mom again after her dad's murder, because her mom betrayed their father, when she saw the guard that actually murdered her father, they both felt justified. Neither of them apologized to Wenji. They both felt like it's normal to inflict pain on others because they themselves are in pain. Humanity is selfish. Humanity is incapable of solving its own problems. Humanity is actually beyond saving. Unless someone from the outside can help. So she clicks send. The message she sends reads, "Come here. I will help you conquer this world. Our civilization is no longer capable of solving its own problems. We need your force to intervene. And now, start the clock." The extraterrestrials are coming for Earth, and who's to say that they're gonna listen to Wenji? Who guarantees that they even care about our civilization's problems? And that's it. That's the end of the chapter. And Song, the woman on the train reading this, she's getting frustrated. The other little chapters in this little magazine, they don't even compare to what she just read in the 3-body problem. What's gonna happen? I mean, I don't even understand. The rest of the train ride, she's just waiting for the train to stop so that she can run off, find the nearest bookstore, and buy the whole freaking novel, read it start to finish, analyze it, get into the story. "Hi, I'm looking for the novel called 3-Body Problem." The bookstore clerk says, "Sorry, never heard of it. You can try an older bookstore if you need, but I don't think that sounds like a new book." Song runs out there and goes to the next bookstore. "Hi, I'm looking for the novel called 3-Body Problem." "Oh, never heard of it. We don't carry that book, sorry." Song is losing her freaking mind. She just needs to know, what happens to Wenji? What happens to Earth? What are the aliens gonna come? What happens when they come? Is Wenji gonna be alive when they arrive? I mean, she's so desperate. She begs for a copy of the book online. She's going to sci-fi forums. I'm willing to pay whatever you need.